Friday. Happy sunny Friday to everybody all over the world. Facebook, YouTube, Insta. I've posted it on Instagram, LinkedIn, everywhere, right? I've pasted everything. And today, not only are we going to be talking about trust, which is absolutely essential, because what more do we need to do apart from trust, right? Today, special day. It's a very special day because it's our anniversary. It is our anniversary as therapy. In fact, we were first called NLP Talks, weren't we? NLP Talks, and now we've called it
Therapy talks.
Yeah.
That's what I've noticed, that on the little flyer you've done, it says NLP talks and not therapy talks, and I something clicked as well with that. This is so funny,
isn't it? Well, I recycle because my art skills are less than desirable. Let's put it that way. And so I recycled the old one because I found one that said trust, because we were talking about trust. So I thought, okay, I'll use that. And I posted it yesterday, and then I realised this morning there was a date on it, and it was like the 1st of April. So I thought, oh, better get rid of that. But I realised it was really close to today, and I was thinking, oh, God, it was a year ago. And then Susanna texted me this morning saying, oh my gosh, it's been a year since our first talk. We've done 52 of these talks, pretty much 52 of these.
Yeah, with a few exceptions, yeah.
Yeah, a couple of weeks we've missed due to no thoughts of our own, but like, and I'll tell you what, every single one I treasure every second of it, because this year you've kept me on the straight and narrow. And I was saying to Linda just before we came online, before you came on, Susie, I was saying to Linda, the last couple of days I just want a hug. I want a flipping hug. I need a hug. I want physical connection. I wish and I pray and I cannot wait for the day that I can see you in person and not just get that energy through the screen, but just literally, because that energy, that physical energy when you're sitting next to someone and you're just talking and being who you are, and no flipping races, and no masks, just authentically you. That connection is so, it's magic, number one, and number two, it's so important, and I've missed so much. I can't wait to see you, and just like flipping, I've never even met you, Susan. I've never even met you in the flesh, and like, oh God, like between us and Linda, I've met you, did I meet you before? I don't remember. Maybe I hadn't. Had I met you before the therapy talks, Linda? I met Lucinda, your daughter.
You met Lucinda, didn't you? No, I don't. Were you and she on the same? She was on the same practitioner course.
No, she was the helper on my
assisting. Yeah. So no, you and I have not met them.
Oh, see, and I want to cuddle you too. I want to cuddle.
Squishy hugs.
Oh God, I can't wait today. So today, like, we are talking, and I think Lee might be joining us. If she does, great. If she doesn't, well, she's here with us in spirit, I'm sure. But today we're talking about trust, and this year it's been a year that we've realised how important trust is actually, and the most important thing to trust. Out of everything that I've learned, that I've found, is to trust yourself and your own gut instinct, because everything starts from you, and everything starts from how you're feeling, and staying very present and finding out what is real and what is perceived, because there's so much going on around us that we can't control and that we can't trust. Because when you're hearing things from third party, that also allows that element of doubt. Do we trust it? Do we not trust it? And the only thing that we can trust is what's real right here, right now. And I've learned that trust has to be earned. It has to be earned. And it's such an important thing. And what's been amazing for me is this last year, being with you, this whole year, over the last year, I trust you. I really honestly trust you, and that trust is earned, and it's based on a foundation of friendship, love, and like-mindedness, right?
Togetherness.
We've seen each other through some really bad, well, I can't say bad, challenging, that's the word. We've seen ourselves through some challenging times, and we've all been there for each other. That's the most important thing, isn't it? It's oh gosh, and then there's my dad phoning me. Let me just message and say, what's right now, my darling? But you know what? That's one thing. Hold on. That's one thing that we've trusted as well. It's like the people around us, the people that have been close to us, that have meant the most to us. I think it's really been a year to kind of weed out what's real and what isn't, who we can trust, who we can't trust, and most of all, trusting ourselves, as I say. What do you reckon, guys? What do you reckon, Linda?
Yeah, I was just thinking that so a few things. The course, I'm going to mention Kate's course again, Selfish Freedom. It is amazing, absolutely amazing. And she speaks of it, she speaks of all of the intelligence centers we have in our body, not just the mind.
Yeah.
We have other intelligence centers, don't we? And we know we do. Even if you're not into this kind of stuff, it's in our language.
Yeah.
You talk about your gut feel. We talk about following our heart. Yeah. And there are a few. There are more even than those two. There are other. I think there's few of these intelligence centers in the body. And what she's saying is, if we get stuck in the left brain, the logic of the brain, right, we never reach those other centers. We never get information from those other centers. So I was thinking this morning, that's what trust is about. It's about trusting all the information you get from all of your intelligence centers.
That makes
and
sense.
some of those will tell us. Some of those will tell us who we can trust, in that who is like us, who is thinking the same way as us. But what do we do with the friends we have where we're not on the same page? Does it mean that we have to abandon them then? We have to be divided from them? And I think not. So I think it's really important to differentiate between trusting information that somebody may hold or believe in or be trying to pass on to you, and trusting that friendship.
Yeah.
And I have made decisions in a few areas. I have made decisions that I've made the decision that my relationship with some people, is far more important than whether we believe the same thing about what's going on. And I want it to survive. I want that friendship to survive. So there's two things that we're trusting then, isn't there? We can trust or not trust in information, as things are at the moment. But then there's trust in that person, trust in that relationship. Yeah. And does it matter? Because aren't we all pro-freedom?
Of course.
And if we're pro-freedom, we cannot be the dictators either.
No.
We don't want dictators, do we? If we are pro-freedom, then we have to allow people to believe what they want, to think what they want, to do what they want, within reason.
We're all so diverse, and that's what makes it beautiful. But our friendships are based on that trust, and we aren't all the same. And that's probably many of the reasons why we do love that other person as well, because you know their perspective of the world is going to be different to ours, and to be open-minded and be able to see from that perspective as well. Yeah, you know, we're always learning. Like, to be open is a gift, isn't it? So yeah, I totally get that. No, it's important. Like, we don't have to be the same to have the same
No.
underlying. We all want the same things out of life: security, love, happiness, trust.
Yeah.
We all.
Well, I think this is just interfering 2 minutes,
Yeah.
Linda. Sorry to interrupt.
Please do. No, please.
Yeah.
Something came to mind right now because I was reflecting on that this week as well. Lots of reflections lately, especially on God. Where I'm Christian, and so I'm doing lots of reflection on certain aspects of the Bible, and so I was reflecting on that, and it matches with what you say. I think the highest form of trust and love is God's. Because my question this week was, why is God allowing this? And then the answer to my question was, it's out of love. It's so much love and trust that it allows us to have this total freedom of choice.
Yeah.
And if there's nothing else to be trusted as the creation, as the creature in front of this, is, you have you can trust the choice that you have, and trust the freedom of choice that you have. So I think, you're right. Trust is allowing the others to be who they want to be, to think what they want to think, and to be as different as they can be from you. And this is what God does as well, right? He allows all this total trust in the human being.
Isn't that magic?
He does. Yeah, he does. He trusts us with free will. Trusts us with free will, doesn't he? So
that's the most important thing out of life. Free will. If we haven't got that, then what do we have? Oh my gosh, it's crazy. But like, trust issues can be based on past experiences as well, you see. That's
absolutely
the thing.
Yeah.
And it's so important to find out when it wasn't a problem, when that trust issue wasn't a problem, and maybe revisiting that point and seeing it from a different perspective, and to see if there's any other light that can be shone on that situation, if there's any lessons that can be learned from that, so to not introduce that fear of the trust issues into the present, because the present is the present is the place where, Linda, I think you've frozen. Yeah, she's frozen. Linda was looking all beautiful, like,
gone back again.
Oh, darling. Internet. We trust the internet. Come on, we trust you to work. The present is the place where we have the control of our own thoughts and language, which is so important, in trust, and what we say we believe, and what we will allow into our lives, what we choose to trust. That's
absolutely. I had two little points to make after listening to Linda. First was the one on not only who we trust, but what we trust. I think it's also important, because sometimes, for instance, now with the sources of the information, who do you trust? It's what you trust that matters probably more than who. Then one can make a list or reflect on what do you really trust, and keep your trust on that. For instance, do you really trust love? You trust freedom? You trust God? Choose that area of trust and stick with it no matter what. I think this is one of those times when there's less freedom of, I don't have too much choice here in terms of what and who I can trust. But then if you're focusing your whole attention on one area of trust, then you can have something to hold on to. This has been my personal experience. I didn't have too many areas of trust, because everything since last year, so many things have changed. And I was sharing with my girlfriends here, suicide. My daughter had a back surgery, selling the house, separation. It's been a total mess, apart from the pandemic episode. So it's been a very bumpy ride. And what I kept the faith on, well, first of all, I had Danielle, and I have to say it here, because without her and these meetings, I don't know where I would have been. Because the trust is in that which persists. You can put your trust in that which persists, and that's reliable. it's the reliability of that aspect that has to be considered. You know, it cannot be fluctuating. During these times, everything changes, things change so fast, so much. Then this vata, or the energy of the wind, fluctuates a lot. So that is affecting our nervous system, is affecting our neurology, and we get to be more anxious and more agitated and more fearful than would normally be. So then your trust should go into something which is stable and grounding and persistent, and that you know it will be there. Like your house will be there tomorrow. Your best friend will be there tomorrow. The love for your mom and dad will still be there tomorrow. So making a list of all these things that are reliable, that don't change no matter what else changes in your life, and then stick to those and keep your, like, for instance, for me, what kept me going was the love for my daughter. Said, whatever happens, I know I love her, and I know I'll do everything to be good and to be sane and to be strong for her. So I trusted that love, and that area of trust becomes like a source of power and strength. That was my personal experience. I don't know if you want to add something on that before I go into the second part of what I wanted to say. I'll keep it for later.
Now that's really perfect. And I think it's really important to reflect as well. Like what you've just done is to reflect on what has happened over that last year, and to celebrate the successes and the journey, to celebrate that journey, because it's led us to what we believe right here, right now as well. Because we can know we will cope. We can cope with so many things that are thrown at us, you know, and at the time it may feel completely, oh gosh, we could be thrown in a world of a whirlwind at the time. But when you look back and reflect on what you've been through and what you can celebrate, you did it. You know, we're resilient, and we are here, and just trusting that process, fighting against the flow, that will just make your life a bit more difficult, you know, and you're going to end up where you're going to end up anyway. So if you, and it's easier to say than to do sometimes, you know, than just to let it go and trust. That is, it can be very challenging when you're in a situation that is just noise and grey and dark, you know. It can be very challenging. But all the things that we've been through, and you look back at them, those were challenging times as well. And once you get through them and reflect back on them, it was the journey, trusting the journey, trusting who you are as a person. The things that are right for you will come to you. And you can choose to be in a whirlwind, or you can choose to let go and go with the flow, because your energy will flow where your focus goes. And that's one of my favorite things to say, because the more you focus on the whirlwind, the more you will see that whirlwind. But when you focus on the calm and letting it literally be, just, you know, taking action. I'm not saying don't take action, because intention is key. But once you just set that intention, use your visualization to live it, to breathe it, to feel those emotions where you're feeling them in your body, expanding them, just getting to that state of trust and letting that go. That's a choice too. We can choose, because we're powerful. So that's a trust that can be learned. That really can, through reflection. Linda.
I think the other thing I was thinking about that I've been reflecting on this week as well, and taking into my own life, is rhythm.
Oh yeah.
Because within the flow of life, there are rhythms, aren't there? And for some reason, we seem to expect everything to just either be the same or be just progress. And it never, ever is it? Even progress doesn't go like this. It goes like this. And so I was, this is from my Bible studies this week as well. I was looking at rhythm and how I can use rhythm within my own life. And it looks different in my business life to what it's like in my private life, in the rest of my life, I think. And what I'm liking in my business life is to set a rhythm that I've chosen so that Saturdays is for planning. Mondays is for content writing, for producing. Tuesdays is for creation again, and on and on.
Nice.
But also, so trust means that trust as regards rhythm means that you trust that wherever you are in the rhythm, the opposite is coming.
Yeah.
Isn't it? So if your bodily rhythms one day are a little bit low, you're not feeling it, you're not feeling like planning, it's okay. So you've two choices there. You can either think, well, okay, so the feeling like planning is coming tomorrow. I'll move it to tomorrow then. I don't have to do it Saturday. It's just an idea. Or you can choose to embed yourself in the rhythm you've chosen for yourself. And again, know that it will be all right, because this is trust, isn't it? This is the definition of trust, knowing it will be all right.
Just trust.
I didn't realise that till it just came out my mouth, but that is what trust is, knowing it will be okay. And if it isn't okay yet, it's not the end.
Oh, yeah.
It will be okay in the end.
Yeah.
Allowing that to be.
Yeah.
I don't remember where I've read this quote, everything will be okay in the end. And if it isn't, it's not the end. So,
yeah, I love that. I love that idea. I love it. I often forget it. I start panicking. But yeah, it's not the end.
No, I love that you're saying this, because this is what I wanted actually to talk a little bit about faith and trust from the Vedic perspective, because I'm studying this now and I'm preparing this course. So all this information is fresh for me.
Oh, good.
And it's very interesting to know, because you see, we don't know much how the mind works. I mean, we're using it all the time, and we have NLP tools to help us communicate with the unconscious, and we've discovered some things. But what actually mind is programmed to do, we don't know. And this is why I love so much the Vedic knowledge, because basically it's a user's manual for life, user's manual for your body, user's manual for your mind. So you see, in the Vedas, in the Vedic science, we talk about three main functions of the mind. We first have the unconscious, which in the Sanskrit terms is called chitta, which is the database. It's basically the instinctive part. It's that which includes the unconscious, subconscious, superconscious, and everything else, and the memory of who you are, the memory of who we are. There is the second part, which is the emotional mind. It's that mind which creates emotions and emotional responses through the five senses, like through the five representations that we have in use in NLP, and creates emotions and doubt. And it's polar, it has polarity, good and bad, right and wrong. And then we have a third one, which is buddhi, or the real intelligence, is the awareness, is the true intelligence of the human being. So all these three functions, these three aspects of mind, they are already programmed in us. I mean, everybody can make use of these functions, and everybody can develop them at a better, to function better or improve them. And I was thinking of that because it's very important to see, we think that everything is emotion. For instance, love, we think that's emotion, like a quality of the emotional mind, right? The emotional mind, you feel hate and love and doubt and regrets. But you see, love and faith or trust are not emotions according to the Vedic science. So everything that is emotion is in the second category, the emotional mind. But love and trust and faith are aspects of the unconscious, of the chitta, of the superconscious.
Interesting.
So love is not an emotion that you will feel like through the body. Love is a state of being which can be reached from within, and it's a state that is there deep within.
Yeah.
The same with trust and faith. Faith is just, if you want, it's deep awareness. So if you want, we reach the state of trust and faith by increasing the awareness. The more aware you are of the truth, the more the state of faith and trust increases, because this true faith is just a profound state of being, a quality of being, and has nothing to do with logic or reason or emotions. So feeling trust or having trust or feeling love or having love it's kind of the same thing. Love is there all the time. It's just that it's blurred by fears and other emotions sometimes. And when we eliminate those, we reach the state of love. The same with trust. Trust and faith in life is our core. That's I wish I was 100% convinced and realized of this, of this beautiful idea. That's a theory. I'm still working on completely acknowledging this, but this is the core of our being. Trust and love is the core of who we are.
I love that.
It's the ability of our own mind. We were built like this. We were programmed like this.
Yes.
This is our human design, programmed to have total confidence in life. Yeah. So what happens is that our modern technological mind is kind of pushing us more and more away from this necessity of faith and trust, and actually mocks it.
Susie, you cut.
I find. Like if you were saying earlier, Linda, if you said, trust my gut feeling and I trust my body in our conversation here. I think my connection is a bit unstable.
Yeah, it was unstable, but we heard bits now. No, you're right.
So if I am coming out there and say, listen, in regards to this virus, I know and I feel and I trust that my body is capable of coping with it and I'm not in danger, I will be mocked. And anybody who would do that would be mocked, because we're supposed to trust science. We're supposed to trust tests. We are supposed to trust organisms and organizations. So while I want to respect the point of view of all these organizations, I want to be allowed to trust my gut feeling, to trust my knowing deep within my body, and to be able to trust life at its core as a biological being that I am, to be able to trust that. So this is what I wanted to tell you. The trust is a state of being, is who you are. Trusting life at its core is who we are.
Yeah, that's
when we're not there, we have been pushed away by factors.
And probably by intelligence. Intelligence gets in the way of awareness.
Absolutely, absolutely.
We can be so smart and clever that we miss that being, that state of being. I often speak to my clients of things that I say. So, and it's from my Christian understanding as well. We may ask God for patience. We've already been given it. It's already an app that's installed. We're just not bothering to use it. That's what it is.
Oh, I love that.
And because we're not in the habit of using it, we haven't got the awareness that we need to choose to use the patience that we've got. We've got all these attributes. They're all in there. Patience and love. Yes, love, as you say, and power. We have the one thing I bang on about most of the time is our power to decide. Absolutely. We have the power to decide. And so many of, naturally, I suppose, as an anxiety expert, the ladies that come to me they don't understand that, they don't know that, they don't believe that, they don't feel it, Their life is not showing that to them. So I feel it's my job to encourage them. And I tell them and tell them and tell them, you have the power to decide, and your decision is strong. When you do decide,
That's right.
It is strong. And you can decide, you can use that. If I had to be asked, if I'm going to this desert island, what would I take? What power could I take? What superpower could I take? And I had to lose all the rest. It would be the power to decide, the power to choose. It's the same thing. For me, it feels better to call it deciding. And it's intention as well. It's the same as intention. You decide today, if I feel a bit low, this is what I'm going to do. I'm not going to lie down under it. I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
Until we can trust. That is another thing we can trust. So what keeps coming to me as well is I was talking with a client last week, after our talk last week, I think. We talked of, she's not a Christian, but that doesn't matter. She can benefit from just the same from God. So I told her about the well of salvation, and we created a well of salvation for her. And she said she's been in a manipulative relationship. She said, oh, mine, it's got holes in it. He's made holes in it. Yeah. So we sealed those holes, and then we put things in there, and we put, as Christians, we put the promises of God in the well of salvation, and they keep us safe. But so for her, we just we looked for the times in the past where she saw herself as powerful, and she found 5 of these, I was going to say her name, she found 5 of these versions of herself. And so we put those 5 and how that felt in her well of salvation. Yeah. So we can use that well of salvation to put things in that we trust. And then we can trust in the power of what's in there.
I think the most important question as well is to ask you, do you trust yourself? Because if you can answer yes to that question, if you trust yourself, then you know that you can trust. And once you know that you can trust, that's a very powerful state of being, because the self starts from the self. And that's, if that's what you can see and that's what you can feel, then that's what you can invite in, more of that, more trust. And if you don't trust yourself, when did that become a problem? When did it stop? When did you stop trusting yourself? What happened at the point where you decided that you weren't worthy of your own trust? Because that is our own superpower. We all have that. We all have the power of being able to trust ourselves. And if we can't trust ourselves, how can we trust anything external?
Well, you'll be surprised that many people trust more things, external things than themselves. I mean, trusting oneself, it's a very common subject that people come to me with. And it's not the easiest thing to fix. It's not like the simplest thing, because it's a lifetime, and it's a whole philosophy. Everything needs to change. Or probably not, maybe it's easier. But for me, from what I've noticed, people have a hard time trusting themselves. And when they come with that subject, I usually ask them to look into the nature, to trust their nature, to trust their body. That's the easiest way to start trusting yourself, is trusting your body, because the body never lies.
Yeah.
The body never gives up on you. Your body is part of you. And this is where you can start trusting, because it eats, it sleeps, it does what it needs to do. And those little beings, these little creatures, these little cells keep being born, living and dying for you to have this experience. So you trust that enough. Every morning when you wake up, or every night when you go to bed, is an act of trust, because you believe and you trust that you will wake up the next morning. else you would not go to sleep. So you trust your body. There's a point in time when you let go and you fall asleep and you just cruise. That's an act of trust. So there are aspects of trust that we can start with, to which to build upon. This is how I see it more than
that's true.
Anything else. Yeah. Trusting in yourself is start with the area that you can trust.
So
there's some skills in you that you can trust. You trust your intelligence, or you trust your voice. Danielle, you have a wonderful voice. You'll always trust it, right? You never stay in doubt and say, oh, will I be able to sing? There is an area of...
Actually, because of my illness that I have an autoimmune condition. So
yes.
And that actually affected my voice. And I didn't trust my voice for a long time.
Same.
A long time, you know. So yes, you can trust your heartbeat, but the thing that you rely on, that you feel that is just a God-given gift, sometimes you can lose that trust, and then that puts even more fear on the situation, and that fear builds distrust. But we can trust the sun coming up in the morning. We can trust the grass growing outside. We can trust the birds singing and making their nests and them knowing exactly what they're doing every single day. That's their routine. We can trust so many things that we probably don't even realize because it's taken for granted. But as soon as you break everything down to those little things, which are the big things, then we realize that we can trust. What else can we trust? And we can trust our gut instincts, our gut, what you were saying before, Linda, about, you know, where the parts of ourselves that are the intelligent parts of ourselves, for me, it is the gut. I feel when I use my power of trust, which I try and regularly do by staying present and just allowing, that's how I do it. I feel peaceful. I feel very peaceful when I'm trusting. And when I'm peaceful, I know I'm in the right place and I'm calm, and whatever is going on in the whirlwind around me, it's not anything I can control, but what I can control is this beautiful peace. And what a beautiful place to live in that world of peace. And it's just allowing that more of that peace to come into it, and knowing that we don't have to be thrown in a world of distrust, turning off the things that you're not trusting, focusing more on the things that you do want to trust.
Yeah.
You know, the things that you're inviting into your life, inviting more of it in, not listening to the noise, because we don't have to. But everybody's diverse, everybody's different, and everyone will listen to different things, and that's okay. But we don't have to be the same, and that's all right too. So yeah, I think
that would be a good exercise. Sorry, go ahead, Linda.
That's an interesting thing, what you said, Susie, about trusting the body, because since I'm not disputing the NHS has a lot of benefits for us, but since the NHS, many people have stopped trusting their body, and instead they trust their GP, or they trust the medication that they're given. So I'm thinking of my mother-in-law. She used to always say, if the children were ill, she would say, she was from the north, and she would say, have you got a bottle for them? And we'd usually say no. No, instead we're doing this and this and the other, because we did not. But if there was something wrong at any level with the children, she thought we should kind of register it with the GP. The GP needs to know, because the GP is in charge of her health and of the health of our children. We never, fortunately, we never saw it that way. Oh, maybe I did in my teens till my early adulthood, and then we began to learn about natural ways of nutrition and natural ways of remaining healthy. So I wonder, but you could start trusting your body by thinking, if you cut yourself, don't you trust your body to heal itself? You don't need to do anything with that. But I do know people that would go to the GP with a cut.
Wow.
Because they have lost that trust in their own body. Because there's an alternative, and the alternative appeals to the intellect. The alternative appeals to the intellect because it seems to be science. It seems to be medical science. So
that's learned behavior, though.
It is.
Yeah.
It is, and it will have been going on a long time. It's what, 2 or 3 generations, isn't it?
Of course, absolutely. It's inherited. It's inherited from what your parents did for you, from what their parents did to them.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, well, this must be. For me, growing up, I always had quite a negative view of authority, and I fought very often against authority, of being dictated to. And I always tried to focus on trusting myself and what I wanted. And to me, authority was just a big dictatorship of like, you should be doing this. Why aren't you like this? Why can't you be like everybody else? You know, and that was a really powerful motivator for me to just try and find out who the hell I am. But for many years, it broke me down. And I think that was a main cause of my Hashimoto's and my, you know, because I was so broken down for many years. But there is a point where your body is so broken down that it finds it quite difficult to fix, because it is your engine. You know, our souls are who we are, but our bodies are the car. Our bodies are the engine. And sometimes we need to have a little bit of fixing. And for many years, I tried to fix it myself the natural way, because I knew something wasn't right with me. And the irony is, I'd been to the doctor and I'd had my thyroid tested and it was come back okay. But he wasn't testing all the right levels. And only when I went to the specialist many years later, when I couldn't talk anymore, when it felt like razor blades were ripping my vocal cords out, every word that I spoke, when I couldn't tell my son a bedtime story in bed, you know, and I was in a state of absolute, it was just, I felt, it's not worthless. It wasn't the worthless. It was helpless. I felt helpless. I had to find answers, and I was then directed to the specialist that actually really helped me. And I had severe Hashimoto's and severe autoimmune problems and severe thyroid. My thyroid had broken down to the point it just was not working. So once I saw him, and he helped me, like with what the things that he's given me, because all the other things, the natural remedies, nothing had worked, you know, because it had broken down to the point of no return, literally. And I tried, but you know, it got to that point. So I trusted him, and then I found someone I could trust that did help me. So
yes, you could trust his help. Yes. And I must make it clear, I'm not saying the NHS ought to be abolished or anything. No, not at all. There are times when medical science has the answer.
Absolutely.
I just think we can trust our own innate knowledge first.
Absolutely. It doesn't have to be on a mass scale. The thing is, with the NHS and everything that's going on out there, everything's being done en masse, and we're trusting a mass opinion rather than trusting our own.
Trusting our own. That's it. And of course, we learned this year, didn't we, that with my granddaughter being born with a heart defect,
of course,
and needing that repair operation, we trusted that surgeon. We trusted him implicitly. I trusted God, and God arranged things so that the surgeon was changed, and it became the senior surgeon that did her operation. Amazing. And he was spoken of as being, another member of the cardiac team said, watching him operate is like watching magic take place. So that's who God sent us to operate on her. So yes, I'm not at all saying there isn't a time.
No, it's a
medical science that's got the answer.
Well, as we said, you know, trust comes with awareness and with knowledge as well. I mean, this is what I keep doing. I keep teaching people. And in this course that I'm going to launch soon, it's knowing your body enough and knowing how it works. You have to study. For everything else, you have to study to know it.
Yeah.
Nothing, you know, there is this instinctive feelings are there, but the knowledge has to be developed. You have to study a little bit, and you have to put some time and passion into it in order to know your body. It's not reducing the role of the modern medicine. On the contrary, they do fantastic things these days. But for you to be able to feel ahead of time before it gets to be too late,
That's
to be able to listen to your body thoroughly and to recognize when something is not right, rather than taking a pill right away to keep, for instance, stopping some headaches, to understand what could be the cause of that headache. If you have plenty of headaches, there may be a liver problem, and maybe you can just do a liver cleanse by yourself, or do a little bit of fasting. Fasting is very, very good, and it's very, very efficient in many circumstances. So and when you get to have a surgery, then put your trust, as Linda said, put the trust in that doctor and go 100%. It's better to go that way than to hesitate with everything.
Yes.
But trusting your body doesn't mean that you are supposed to heal yourself from everything. I'm practicing Ayurveda for more than 17 years now, and it's not everything that can be healed through Ayurveda, but there's many things that can be prevented through Ayurveda if you learn to hear your body enough and to recognize certain signs and to know what they mean. And I think is anyway, for me, it's one of my values that I don't want any much interference between myself and my body and my soul. I want to be complete and whole, and I want to be able to recognize by myself when something is wrong before somebody else tells me. I don't want too many gadgets to tell me who I am, or any interface between me and artificial intelligence to induce me states. I prefer to be as biological as I've been created and to die this way. There is a charm in being a biological being and having a life, and even dying. It's part of the whole thing.
cycle.
Just to trust this process of life to that point that even death becomes a stage towards truth and you know, if you believe, if you're Christian, Lord's kingdom. I mean, there is beauty in everything, and knowledge has to come with that as well.
Beautiful.
I think.
Yeah, it's
Trust cannot come without knowledge.
I wish that I had been able to recognize earlier how to help myself before it got too late. But I'm very grateful for the resources that we all have around us, that I did do that research to find out what made me feel better, you know, and for different food groups, that if I took that out of my diet a certain ways, that I felt a million times better, you know, even though I had this underlying thing, my body was functioning better by removing certain things. And that was just through research and through experimenting on how I felt myself. But I wish that I had, you know, been able to do it earlier. But very grateful for the resources, the internet, the other people experiences that I could relate to, and I could try and okay, I feel better if I do that, you know, and then finding that right doctor and being able to communicate with the person that introduced me to that doctor. You know, we are so full of gifts all around us, and it's being open to inviting more of that in, and to exploring, being curious about what is wrong, where is it wrong in you, what is it that you can do to help it, and who can help you, really help you, you know. We're very lucky, really, with all the resources.
Yeah. Let's do this exercise for people who are listening, to create some references for them.
Please do.
For instance, I'm going to ask you both, Danielle first. In this world of these changes and these weird times we're living, what do you trust?
Oh my gosh, I trust.
Let's make a list of trustable things so that people have references. Just to have two examples, you know.
Oh gosh. See,
what do you trust?
I trust my peace. That's what I trust. I trust my feeling of peace, because when I'm at peace, I'm on the flow, and I don't have to stress about anything, because what's coming is for me. and it will all come at the right time, and it can't be pushed. It can't.
So do you trust your ability to feel that peace as well?
Yes, I do.
Create and feel that peace.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
And how do you do that?
I do.
Now you have two people asking you questions.
You know what? I do get days very, very, frequently nowadays that I feel it's like a loneliness, it's a sadness, it's a lack of connection. But I trust when I feel that I mean, like by speaking to you, by having a hug. You know what I said at the beginning? I just needed a hug. Like I needed that physical contact with someone that I trusted. There's someone that I cared about. There's someone that was just authentically who they are. And I trust that I know how to heal myself. Like, as in, when I feel sad, I trust that music really helps me and it lifts my vibration. I trust that I know what to do and that I will always find my way. I trust that. And I trust that everything's coming to me in my time, at the right time. And I let go and I surrender to that. And I'm very happy with that. So that's what I trust right now.
Wow. How about you, Linda? What do you trust?
I trust God. And so along with that, I have to trust my ability to hear God. Yeah. Because there are times when I haven't. And there are times when I've run off anyway in a different direction. I've heard what you said. And I've run off and done something else.
So what does it feel like? Like, what is it like to trust in God? You know, this could be a very rare thing these days. How does it feel to you to trust God?
It feels very very calm. When I know I'm connected with God, when I feel connected with God, I believe we're connected with God all of the time. But when I choose to feel that connection, I get that connection by being still, by just stilling my thoughts and being still. And it works for me. And there's no need to send thoughts off in a bubble or anything. Thankfully, I can still my mind so there are no thoughts.
And you trust that?
And I trust that. And so then I trust that it's not an audible voice that I hear, but I trust that the words I hear, the ideas that come into my mind in that still state are from God. So I trust my ability to recognize God's word. I recognize God's words. There's no doubt in my mind. And I do have some friends. There's no, absolutely, I'm fortunate to have this skill. There's no criticism of anyone who is not certain when they're hearing God. I know a few people who are very faithful Christians and they're just not sure if it's God or not. I think if we want to be intellectual about it, it's quite easy. If it's being rude about somebody, if it's being rude about you, if it's saying, well, you're useless and you're not, is it going to be God? Is that what God's going to be saying to us? I don't think so. But I just know. What I have not always known in the past is this God's idea or is it my idea that I'm just running by him? And I'm much better off if I don't run any ideas by him at all.
Susanna,
yeah. Wait for him to give me the direction. And
Well, you are connected to God. You are
Yes.
one. You are
Yes.
one. Everyone calls it different things. Some people call it God. Some people call it spirit. Some people call it the universe. Some people call it their gods. You know, everyone has their connection to what they believe, and that's a beautiful thing too. Susanna, what do you trust right now? What do
Well, I
you?
trust life. I love life.
Yeah.
And that's why I've been studying most of my life. I've studied life itself, life, the ability of life to regenerate, to reproduce, to create this infinity of possibilities of life, nature. I trust nature with
Yes.
everything that it produces. And the fact that I am here, to me, is the proof that I can trust life because I was born and I exist. So then, I have to trust that. And I also trust, I cannot say that I trust God all the time. I've especially this past year, I've had my moments of doubts, but I trust, wait, how do you say that? I trust my willingness to trust God.
Yeah.
So I know that will never go away.
Yeah.
I've experienced that in moments when I'm like in the why is this happening? God, why are you letting this happen? And I feel like my faith is not there. Actually, I feel that the willingness to trust is there. So I trust the willingness to trust. I don't know if that makes
That's
sense.
lovely.
But I'm thinking maybe this is trust itself. Maybe this is faith itself. I've never experienced moments when I felt completely out of this willingness to trust. Never.
Yeah.
No.
Even when trust was not there, I was willing to do it. And I was able to pray just to say, God, please allow me to have faith again. Please help my faith. Help me with my unfaithfulness or something like that.
Yeah.
So I trust this strength. There is something that I've experienced through my practice. And since I was little, actually, there is some sort of presence that I've always had, regardless of what I've been through. There has been some sense of, not power in a sense that we could understand it, but something invincible, indestructible, and infinite, I would say, that is there all the time with me, and I trust that.
Yes.
And it's funny because we talking, the three of us, shared here what we trust, and none of you said, I trust the car, and I trust the vaccine, and I trust this. You see, I think trust has to go really at something which is fundamental and profound in a world
Go deep.
that is changing so fast today. I don't think we can just go ahead and trust. I wouldn't put my trust in a vaccine, for instance. I would keep a reserve of doubt because I need to, probably it doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel right in my heart. For my own personal body, I don't feel that a vaccine, I wouldn't trust a vaccine to help me heal. But of course, I accept the people that might believe that this is important, and probably their state of health and their own doubts, doesn't allow them to trust, and maybe it's better that they vaccinate themselves rather than allowing the fear of this virus to provoke experiences they don't want to go through. But see, actually, trust and faith, they go deep. They go to levels of being and not into the material world.
Yeah. I think the most important thing, I mean, we've been speaking an hour. Can I just say we've been speaking an hour already? An hour, and it's been a beautiful hour. And I trust you.
I trust you too.
I trust you so much. And I just want to say to anyone watching as well, if you do need any help if you don't trust who you are and you need help to maybe speaking to someone or obviously I'm going to put everyone's details in the comments, but it can be very helpful to find a trust partner, like a therapist or a friend that you can trust, and if you don't have, Linda's gone, it's just us, Susie, it's just us. If you don't have a friend that you feel like you can trust, because it is an intimate thing, isn't it, to be able to trust somebody, and it is an earned thing, but there are people out there that we can speak to that are completely impartial, that you can develop a level of trust with. We're all here for the same reasons. Linda's back.
She's back.
I trust in the internet. I trust in this tool.
Do you know what I do not trust in?
Go on.
Our broadband.
Our what?
Broadband.
Broadband supply. I cannot trust in internet connection.
Well, I trusted you'd be back, and you were. So on that note, I just want to say a massive thank you, girls. Thank you so much.
Thank you, and happy anniversary, girls.
Happy
We'll meet.
anniversary.
We will be again together in a year from now. For our second year anniversary.
I'm absolutely full of gratitude to you both. I'm full of gratitude to everyone that has been with us on this journey. People that aren't here as well. Thank you all that you've joined us on the journey over the last year. Anyone watching that's got value from it, I thank you too, and I send you all massive love. And anything you need, you contact us, you join us, and we're here for you. So on that note, big love. I'm going to switch off from the live. Say bye, guys. Say bye.
Bye.
Stop
Bye. Find something to trust this week.
Yes, that's it. Right, let me stop recording. Oh, that was beautiful.